So I was asked to talk about the financial model for opening a dry eye center of excellence. So there's the OCULUS Keratograph 5M is in here, but it's a small part of the whole picture. So I spent more time putting this talk together. I presented it just a few weeks ago. I put more time into this than I've ever put into any talk in my life. And I worked very closely with Bruce Maller, and Bruce Maller is the #1 consultant business consultant in ophthalmology. He consults to Oculus, he consults to Allergan, Alcon, Bausch & Lomb, and all the big mega practices like ours, the Ophthalmic Consultants of Long Island, with 52 doctors, 500 employees, Cincinnati Eye with 70 surgeons, Houston Eye with like 65 surgeons. So he is the guy, and he is up on everything in ophthalmic business, and he was kind enough to assign some of his colleagues to me to put this together. So we've had a dry eye center of excellence for 5 years. It has been wonderful for our patients. We have improved their pre-op measurements, their surgical outcomes for LASIK and cataract, but it's also an incredible moneymaker, quite frankly. It's financially a success. It has virtually no medical legal exposure. Have you ever heard of somebody being sued because they didn't treat dry eyes properly? No. So everything, it's better for the patients, it's great for the doctors. So I'm just going to blow through this. Okay, so I call this the Marcus Welby model. So we want to underpromise and overdeliver. Those of you who are old enough to remember Marcus Welby was a kindly doctor, a surgeon who saw about 3 patients a day. And he lavished them with attention, and any real doctor watching the show wondered how he managed to pay his overhead. But this is the Marcus Welby model. So what is the value of more of these patients in your practice? If you're in a practice with even 2 or 3 members, doctors, it's easy to attract 1,500 new dry eye patients to your practice without spending a dime. You get, or less than $100. You get your text to wear a button that says, "Ask me about dry eye." With all the invoices, you stick in one extra piece of paper that says, "Announcing our new dry eye center of excellence," et cetera, et cetera. Easy, easy. By the way, all the companies that are in the dry eye space are eager to give you marketing materials because your success is their success. So there are posters you can put on the back of the exam lane door. When people have finished reading their email, they're reading what's on the wall and on the back of the door. And that's very, very easy to come by for free from the companies. So here's a dry eye patient, and this is a classic financial model. New patient comprehensive. These are all Medicare 2017 numbers. 150. You see the 1-month exam. Because there are a lot of numbers, I'm not going to read each one out loud. But here you see them at 1 month to see how they did with the therapy you put them on, and 3 and 12 months. Osmolarity is now part of any dry eye center of excellence. It's now standard of care if you've got a dry eye center of excellence. So we throw in the osmolarity testing. That's $575 if you do nothing fancy, you just do a little osmolarity. Almost all of my patients end up with 4 plugs. But what if you only put 2 plugs in? It's an extra $224. So that's not the only thing that you will benefit from when you attract some dry eye patients, because they have all these comorbidities. They have myopia, allergies, cataracts, they have glaucoma, they have macular degeneration, and we know exactly how many. From Gallup polls, we know out of every 1,500 dry eye patients, exactly how many have cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration. So once again, sticking to a really simple model where all you do is put in some plugs and do osmolarity, nothing fancy. This is what you make from just treating dry eye. This is what you make out of those. There are actually 210 cataract patients in every 1,500 dry eye patients. That's a well-known published statistic. If your charming self can only capture half of them to stay with you, and you don't do any premium anything, you don't do femto anything, that's what you would get just from capturing half of the cataract patients that come in for dry eye. This is what you get from capturing half of the glaucoma patients that come in for their dry eyes. doing nothing, no stents, no anything, just treating them. And this is what you get just from putting tube plugs in the patients. So, that's already a pretty staggering number considering you haven't really bought anything or done anything. But it gets better. By the way, this is just a sidebar on osmolarity. There's a Medicare allowable, and if you do, you don't make a great deal of money. I use it. I have a whole treatment algorithm centered on osmolarity. I start treating at 296 or higher. They get Restasis or Xiidra at 317. I have a whole. So osmolarity is critical to my practice, and almost everybody who's got a dry eye center feels the same way. So you don't make much, but you make a little bit on each patient, and it does vary somewhat state to state. But even osmolarity has been profitable for us. So, the Keratograph 5M, and there is one here somewhere, right, that they can see? There are two of them here, okay. This is a workhorse. If you haven't seen it, please see it. It's a great placido disc topographer. So it does that for you, and it has 6 ways to measure the tear film. 6 separate ways. So because this isn't a lecture about what it can do for you, but it's worth swinging by over there. These are so terrific that I understand they're still back ordered, right? No, not anymore? Okay. In the middle of the summer, there was such a huge demand, they were behind, but they have apparently caught up. Anyway, suppose you see only 30 patients a day because you're Marcus Welby. We all see more than 30, all of us. But we're trying to under-promise and over-deliver. That's the average patient fee for a full dry eye workup. Suppose you're very conservative here for the ROI analysis. This is the average number of patients per day where you do an image, you take an image, you capture data with the Keratograph 5M. Suppose you're in the office 4 days a week, you operate 1 day a week, and you take a 2-week vacation. So that's the number of patients. So 45% of the patients on average have dry eye. Suppose you have only a 50% conversion rate to convince them to have their data acquired with the Keratograph 5M. That is your annual profit from these dry eye exams. But most of us do way more than that. Suppose it's 20 patients a day or 40 patients a day. And here we're going to average 20 and 40 and just say average practice, you do 30 captures a day. This is your annual profit from Keratograph 5M, not counting what you could get from topography or any of the other things that it can do. So, ProCare Slim. When we first opened the Dry Eye Center of Excellence, even with a tertiary care referral practice, I saw people with filaments twice a year. Now we see like 12 new cases a week because the word gets out that you have a Dry Eye Center of Excellence. Most of them are Sjogren's patients, but if you have a desperate dry eye, you put on the ProCare Slim, which is a PMMA ring with amniotic membrane stretched across it from biotissue, and you leave it on for 5 days. It's translucent, so you usually do it 1 eye at a time. You take it out 5 days later and put a fresh one on the other eye. And it drives massive amounts of growth factors into the cornea. It's got heavy chain hyaluronic acid and pentraxin 3 and a ton of fetal growth factors that cannot be reproduced in a laboratory, at least not in 2017. So this is like the secret sauce, the miracle for severe dry eye. So suppose you see 800 patients a month, and suppose 33% of them are complaining about dry eye. So suppose that only 5% of them are candidates for ProCare. It's much higher for me now that we've been around for a while and we have lots and lots of severe cases showing up. So this is only 13 ProCare candidates per month, extremely conservative. So this is what it reimburses on that CPT code. This is what it costs. That is the profit. There is no global period. There is no global period. So this shows a very, very conservative profit from ProCare per year, and I can tell you that any Dry Eye Center of Excellence that's been around for more than a year, that number is multiples higher, many times higher. So this is the Lipiflow Proforma, the thermopulsation therapy. And I'm not going to march through it every single number, but basically this is 100 patients a week. Half of them have meibomian gland disease. Suppose you only convert 25% of the people that you approach to have a Lipiflow treatment. This is your monthly Lipiscan, a Lipiflow revenue. And if your conversion rate goes up, which it will with Biography, one of the many things the 5M does is Biography. So you show them a picture of all their missing glands and your conversion rate goes through the roof. So this is low, medium, and high conversion rate, gross profit per month. So this is how long it would take to pay off the machine, which is costly. If you have a slow practice and you're just starting, it takes 5.8 months. If you have a kind of a mature dry eye practice, it takes 2.2 months to pay for that machine. And Blephar X, we do a fair amount of that. That's, I don't know if you are familiar with it, but it's a high-speed rotating sponge. It rotates at 2,500 RPM. It's soaked in a professional grade lid cleaner. This cleaner is not sold to patients. And it takes a doctor or a technician about 30 seconds per eyelid to get rid of all the biofilm and the scurf. So patients love it. It's fast. I can do it very quickly. The unit costs just under $5,000. You get treatment packs. The average person gets 3 treatments per year. Many of the key opinion leaders do a Blephar X right before a Lipiflow because you get rid of all the scurf, and then the Lipiflow pushes out all the nasty altered meibum. So it's the ultimate 1-2 punch. So, this pays for itself very quickly. Eye Express is an in-office heating treatment, and I'm going to move through this kind of quickly. So I showed you that you can make over $1 million doing just nothing but taking care of dry eye patients. You do osmolarity, put in a few plugs. That's it. But if you add any of these other things with a terribly low conversion rate, really low, you can't convince people, you couldn't fight your way out of a paper bag. You are bad at converting people to do anything. So you easily make 1.5 million per year with your dry eye center of excellence, in addition to your cataracts. Everybody thinks, oh, it must take you away from cataract surgery and LASIK and all that. No. When I do a Lipiflow, I pop on the activators and I leave, and a technician stays behind. These things don't take time, and they improve your surgical outcome and they improve your bottom line. So it's good medicine to treat dry eye. We have better diagnostic technologies and treatments which lead to happier patients, better surgical outcomes. It is really good business to treat dry eye. There are the direct profits and, of course, the halo effect and the referrals. There's virtually no medical legal exposure treating dry eye. And these patients do remember you and send in their kids and their adults, and it's been really, truly a wonderful thing. So there you have it.